As a guy, is your attractiveness important when it comes to dating? Of course it is. But how important is it? And more importantly, is there anything you can do to make up for any shortfall in the looks department? Today, I'm going to take a little bit of time to explore in more detail the role that looks plays for a man in attraction. And I'm also going to start to look at some of the softer skills, the social skills, self-confidence, teasing and humor, all these things you'll typically learn with a dating coach like myself, and how much of a role that plays and how it can stack up and make up for a shortfall in looks. So let's get stuck in. I want you to imagine for me for a second that you're walking down the street, it's late at night, you've left a club, you're walking with a couple of mates down the road, and you turn the corner, and as you turn the corner into an alleyway, you see there's a fight that's being organized. It's like an illegal street fight being sorted, and there's two fighters in two corners of a makeshift ring, and they're sitting there, and there's a bookie that runs up to you, and he says to you, quick, place a bet here. There's lots of money to be won. Who do you think is going to win? You look at the fighters, and what do you see? You see one fighter is 6'3", really well built like a tank. Think Arnold Schwarzenegger. And in the other corner, is a 5'5" guy who's really skinny, really slim. Who are you going to put your money on? Now, really, in all fairness, you should be putting your money on the big guy, right? He's stronger, so he's going to be able to hit harder. He's got a much longer reach because of his longer arms. Right, is taller, so he can get down on top of the other guy more easily, and he weighs more, so he carries more momentum, right? All things say, put your money on the big guy, right? But what if I change the scenario a little bit? What if you rounded that corner, and you saw again a big guy and a small guy, but now what do you see? You literally see Arnold Schwarzenegger in one corner, maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger in his late 20s, let's think of him in his prime, not in his 60s as he is now. And in the other corner, you see Bruce Lee. Same heights, same body weights. Bruce Lee was a really slim guy. Now, where would you put your money? The answer is, I'm not sure personally. I don't know. I think probably Bruce Lee. Can't say I'm 100% sure. But the truth of the matter is, suddenly the playing field feels more fair, doesn't it? Now, this is really, in many ways, it's a good analogy for looks and attractiveness versus personality or social skills in dating. All else being equal, a really tall, dark, good-looking guy is going to have a much easier time than a short, balding, fat, ugly guy, right? That is absolutely true. Looks, they play a role in dating, all else being equal. But the truth of the matter is that you can make up for a lot. And every woman actually has a tolerance. There's like a curve that every woman's taste in men follows. It looks a little bit like this. So if you have a look here, this is the most simple version of an availability curve, right? So on the y-axis here, you've got your personality. On the x-axis, you've got your attractiveness, right? And so if you are really, really, really attractive, you can have a worse and worse and worse personality, and still most women are going to be okay with that, or many women are going to be okay with that. Again, on the flip side, the less attractive you are, the better a personality you're going to need to have, or better social skills you're going to need to have for women to find you attractive. Now, what I'd really like to do is relabel these titles so that actually on the left-hand side, let's call this dating value. So think about not just personality, but think about your sense of humor. Think about your confidence, how you walk, your body language, right? Are you a man that carries himself in a way that demonstrates he's confident, that he has pride in himself? How you dress, does it show pride in how you look? Or do you look dirty and grimy, right? So let's think about this as your dating value that subsists of all the things you have complete control over, right? You can't control your genetics. You can't control your height. You can't control your ethnicity. Right, so there are a number of things you can't control. You can't control your intelligence. So let's put those things on the x-axis. Let's call it attractiveness, but we'll call it just the things that are not in your control. So that graph still looks the same roughly. But the truth of the matter is that women don't all have the same tastes and tolerances, right? There's a lot of variation from one woman to another. And this is the beginning of, I guess, starting to really understand the difference and the role that attractiveness is going to play when it comes to approaching women. So let's look at the first sort of stereotype of woman that you're going to have, and that's the woman who's really, really obsessed with looks. So if you have a look here, in this graph here, you can see that there's a bit of a curve now that's applied here. So you'll see that as far as attractiveness is concerned, it doesn't matter how great your social skills are. If you're below a certain looks level, she's not going to be interested. You're just going to be in her instant no category. On the flip side, it doesn't matter how rubbish your dating value is or your social skills are and your personality is. It doesn't matter how rubbish it is. If you're really, really, really good looking, she'll forgive everything. So what women tend to fall under this banner? Like what women generally like this? So you're more superficial, but I think that'd be unkind. I think the way to think about it is if a woman is super focused on the superficial aspects of herself, then she's going to focus on the superficial aspects of men. So, your examples would be women who, not all models, but many models, so many women who are like Instagram models and things like that, where all their value in life is placed on how they look, right? So that's where they place the most value on everything, is including the men they date. Or the women in clubs who, because there are lots of pretty women in the world, and there are some who really work hard to be as hot as possible, wear skimpy outfits and like do their hair really nicely and put on tons of makeup. Those women are not necessarily more attractive than other women who don't put in that effort, but they stand out more, right? Because they've worked harder on the marketing of themselves when they're out in public. So those women, on the whole, will tend to have a curve that's more like this one. However, you've got other type of women, right? So, and also, by the way, women who are looking for a one-night stand or women who are looking for something more casual, not looking for a relationship, their curve will tend to take more of this shape, right? So looks will start to be given preferential treatment over personality or other dating value. That makes sense. That's what happens. The other type of curve that regularly gets applied with women is this one. There's a different type of woman entirely. And so what you see here is you see women who have had the experience sometimes where they've dated a guy who's a bit of an asshat, and they've realized that, hey, the most important thing for me is I'd like him to be attractive, but more than that, he's got to have a baseline personality. Like he's got to be someone who I'm going to connect with and like and want to be around. These things are important to me. And this is the curve you're going to see here. So again, so long as you've got a really amazing personality, looks going to be largely overlooked to some degree. But, again, looks matter, right? As you can see here, the curve clearly demonstrates looks matter. It's not a flat curve. There's curve there. But again, not as much as for the more superficially minded. On the flip side, for these women, it's like, it doesn't matter how hot you are. If your personality isn't decent, you got no chance. And I see that on a daily basis as well. Guys who are like literally like male models, stunning, rippling abs. And there are plenty of women who won't date them because a lot of these guys have just horrible personalities. This self-obsessed. They think only of themselves, very selfish. And women, not all, obviously plenty of women will date them, as you can see from the other curves, but there are plenty of women who won't date them. And I see that quite often. Those guys feel a little bit baffled by that because they think looks are the only thing that really matter. Now, fortunately, more women have a curve that looks like this than the first curve I showed you, because most women realize that for most women's experiences, personality has more importance than looks, but they'd like both. Everyone wants both. You can't blame women. Everyone wants both. We want the best that we think we can get. And so on that level, we've got another aspect of looks versus personality to consider, and that is our social value. So men have a social value, women have a social value. Obviously, how a woman looks, her attractiveness plays a role in her social value, but other things do too, right? Her confidence in herself, her earning capacity, her education level, her intelligence, all this kind of stuff. So if you think about it, a woman with a high sense of self-value will have a graph that's shifted to the top right. Because she realizes that, you know what, I have a lot to offer a man, so I can be demanding. I can be choosy with who I date. So, I need a guy who's got a decent personality, and I need a guy who's got a decent, I find attractive. All these things are important, and I believe I can get them. Therefore, I've shifted everything to the top right. And that's totally fair. There's going to be women like this in the world, and this is not just about looks. So when you look at a graph like this, there's no absolutes. I know women who are really attractive, really intelligent, and yet they're dating guys who aren't so attractive, right? Guys, they're still really solid blokes, but the guys aren't very attractive. So again, attraction is important, And graphs like this is trending. This is not like absolute rules. It's not like you look at this and go, oh, well, I can never date a really great woman because I'm not attractive enough. Not quite. It's just there's a trend. It's right. It's going to be much harder in those circumstances. Of course, on the flip side, again, you've got women who have lower sense of self-value. So here are women who, the range of guys they would date is higher. They're basically not as choosy. So with women like this, you can be... who would fall into this graph? You've got plenty of women who have a really low self-esteem and are really hot. Women like that can easily fall into this, right? So we're not just talking ugly women who just don't have any choice in men. You get women who have low self-esteem. So what do you see here? You see, well, look, they've got a preference for attractive guys sometimes, but the personality really isn't so important to them, right? Because they're desperate for attention and they need validation. They'll get it wherever they can. So I know a lot of women like this who are attractive but need that, and their tolerance for the kind of guys they're going to date is relatively low. So yeah, I mean, there are lots of ways that this graph can be impacted. But you can see in every single graph I've shown you, looks matter. So what is that telling you? Does that say that you should give up now? Oh, well, I'm not a really attractive guy, so I'm just screwed. No. I mean, look, it's true. Life isn't nice. The world isn't meant to be nice. It's not meant to be fair, right? You can't control things like your race, and you can't control things like your height. I'm balding. Slowly, I'm losing hair, and I'm 5'8", so I'm not very tall. I'm decent looking. I've got that going for me. But there's no point. You can't focus on those things. If you focus on those things, you're going to constantly feel like you're powerless, and powerlessness is very unattractive to women. The truth of the matter is that you can do a lot to improve your ability to attract women. There's a ton you can do. You can definitely improve how you look, how you come across by changing how you dress, how you're groomed, how you smell, all these things, your hairstyling, all these things will impact how attractive women find you. You've got a lot of control over just the looks, but all the other things too, the other skill sets, being able to make women laugh and connect with them, being genuinely likable. There's so much you can do, and there's so much you can learn. And as you can see from these graphs, you can still have a very good fighting chance most of the time. Most guys can. But more than that, I know I get a lot of guys commenting when I do videos like this, and they say, well, why should I put in all this work just for women? What a ripoff. Why should I bother? I'll tell you why you should bother. Because most of those things, like anyone who is high on that personality side, that y-axis of that graph, this is not just about women, dude. This is about you're going to have so many more opportunities in life if you're high on the personality spectrum there, on that dating value spectrum, because you're good at connecting with people. You're highly likable, right? You are, you can walk into a room and instantly connect and instantly have people want to work with you or want to hire you or want to do business deals with you, right? Or want to give you better discounts on products they're selling. I mean, it impacts all these areas of your life. This is not just about women. It is about developing yourself as a human being, as a man. And that's going to have a ricochet effect on everything, including dating, but not just about dating. And this is really my argument. Too many guys, they get lost. They get focused on the attractiveness because, if you're not that attractive, you can have the experience that and your personality and your social skills aren't well developed. You can easily find yourself in the red zone with almost every woman you meet. And that feels defeating. That feels crushing when you've got friends who, maybe they're, not really nice people, but they're quite good looking and they still do well with women. That can feel really frustrating. It's easy to feel defeated, but you can't. You've got to focus on what you can control. Because I tell you what, everyone has stuff working against them. Everyone. I know some of us have better advantages in life than others, but everyone's got stuff they need to work against. Don't be that guy who just becomes a victim. Now, how do you work on this stuff? So you may have seen some of my other videos, and I'll talk about it now as well. I do have a complete online training program called Sincere Seduction Online. Now, this program, it isn't just about being better with women. It isn't just about how to flirt. It isn't just about how to get girls home. It is about those things for sure. But it's also about how to overcome your limiting beliefs, how to overcome your negative self-talk, how to deal with approach anxiety, right? Because a lot of men, they really struggle with this sense of, I don't think I'm good enough for women. And if you don't think you're good enough, you're not, right? So it's about developing yourself as a man. And this program is the way that I can hold your hand every step of the way. It's a series of it's just over 20 hours worth of video content. We cover a huge range of your development and your social skills when talking to women. So there's a huge amount of content in there. Now, I'm running this as a special right now, so there's a discount code I'm going to throw up on the screen in a second. You can click the link to check it out. There's a whole bunch of information about it there, including some more video content. But do have a look at it if you're interested in working on this part of your life, because again, it's not about women. There's a lot you can do. Looks definitely play a role. I'm not here to sugarcoat it, but there's so much you can do to make up for it. So be a fighter. Don't be a giver-upper. Don't be someone who's just going to give up on life, because that's not what life's all about. So what do you reckon, guys? Have you enjoyed this video? Have you gotten some kind of insight? Let me know in the comments below. Is there a type of graph that I haven't thrown up here? Is there a type of woman, a big stereotype that I've missed? Let me know. I'm always curious to kind of expand my thinking around these things. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video. And of course, click the little bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, which come out twice a week. In the meantime, I wish you guys all the best in your dating lives, and I look forward to seeing you in my future videos. I'm Damien. Have a fantastic week.